The black pill incel movement is interesting because it's a critique of 21st century society. And what makes it even better, it's a critique with real stakes. It's a critique being offered by people who want to change themselves as individuals, who want a new life, who want a better life, whether you call that self-improvement or not. It's a critique being offered by people who are dissidents, even if not quite dissident intellectuals, dissidents who want to change society as a whole. They're people willing to look back at the history of the last 200 years and say something somehow has gone terribly wrong. Now, it's still going terribly wrong.
Hello, what is up? So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about the thing that actually pretty much broke me when it came to pursuing relationships, and which was pretty much my turning point of deciding to give up. I'm still looking forward to the day when I can get cosmetic surgery, so then I think, if I fix my face up, then things might end up a little bit different, I'm hoping. And studies have shown on certain things that a regular guy has a 1 in 115 chance of matching with somebody, and that even if you do match with somebody, she's going to have 200 plus other matches. So if she's looking for somebody with money, she's going to find 20 other guys who have more better off than you. If she's looking for somebody with personality or looks, she's going to find at least 20 other people who are have a better personality than you or look better than you.
For today, let's talk about why you virgins aren't having sex. And by you virgins, I mean an increasingly large slice of young Americans who can't get laid. For example, here on the screen are the results of the latest GSS study on the rates of sexlessness among those under the age of 35. The visual design of the graph may be a little deceptive and may make the rise seem a little larger than it is, but it's still a noticeable uptick in not getting laid, from around 8 to 12% in the early 2000s to around 20% in 2021. And this is people who haven't fucked for at least an entire year. I mean 12 months. The Earth traveled nearly 100 million miles in a complete heliocentric orbit, and you didn't even get a hand job.
Brutal. Brutal.
So what's going on here? What are the social forces pushing us away from each other, and how do we fix this? Well, most of the time these statistics are brought up, they're mentioned by incels, whose misery always loves company. Their narrative goes something like this. Technology, particularly social media, has made it possible for women to weed out the ugliest, most genetically inferior males and give away all their sexual prizes to only a small fraction of men who satisfy women's overly selective aesthetic standards. Things like weak facial structure, balding, short stature, aging can all knock you out of the dating market entirely as women chase an increasingly small percentage of men at the top. Incels call this the black pill, and they love to make video after video talking about how pointless life is if you don't fall into the top 1% of male beauty. You can probably tell already, but I don't really buy this narrative. This is one of those things that sounds plausible in the abstract, but once you subject it to the slightest bit of scrutiny, you realize it doesn't line up with the real world, at all. I mean, just talk to people. How many of them are in polyamorous relationships with dozens of women? Go outside. Where are the harems of hot young women following around a single attractive guy? I mean, where is this? And why can't I move there? I don't really see this kind of polyamory discussed outside of incel forums. And when I do see polyamorous groups, it's, let's just say it isn't exactly the most attractive, desirable people doing it. It's usually like a frumpy middle-aged woman who looks like she's seen all of Netflix with a couple of guys who look like life has beat them down so hard they've had to resort to this.
Hey beautiful people, how are you? My name is Connor.
My name is Brittany.
And this is a great time to share this video, this update on our lives. So this is the first time tuning in. Brittany and I have been polyamorous, open relationship, undefined relationship anarchists for 7 years, 7+ years. And we started our relationship that way. We've been through a lot of different, I wouldn't call them phases. They feel more significant than phases, but metamorphosis.
Yeah. Great job.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of that. And we moved out. We kind of live separate from each other in a way, and in a way we kind of don't. Just about a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's not exactly what incels imagine. The reality is most people are monogamous. They date one other person, usually someone around the same looks level as them. I'm not really seeing this ruthless Darwinian pressure on men that incels claim there is. Day-to-day life outside of the internet very quickly shows that most people pair up and stay monogamous for most of their lives. You get an affair here and there and, maybe some switching of partners from time to time, but most people have sex with a depressingly low number of partners. I think Joe Rogan, is one of the deepest thinkers of our time, put it best when he said, "All you hear is take this vaccine or you can't go to the sauna." Wait, that's not the quote I was looking for. No, I think he put it best when he debated an incel on his podcast. He simply pointed out that monogamy is the norm. The typical incel narrative would be a problem if it actually existed, but it doesn't. Here, take a listen.
Absolutely, we both agree on this. So,
Yes, but they need to do that in a society where monogamy is the social norm.
But isn't
That's
it
all.
the social norm anyway?
Well, that was partly my point, although to the degree that we deviate from that, we tilt towards a more violent society. I was making a very minor point.
I don't think they're related, quite honestly. I don't think that involuntary celibates, I don't think that having enforced monogamy as a part of our cultural norm is going to help those people. I really don't.
It does.
How's it going to help them?
Well, because what happens is if a polygamous society develops, which is the alternative, then a small minority of men get all the women. That's what happens.
Oh, okay, I could see
that's
that.
all. That's the only point that I was making.
This theoretical world where polygamous societies exist en masse, and then you do have this problem where there's a small group of men that are fucking all the women.
Societies seem to function better, that is, less violently. Let's say, when there's one woman per man, if there's many women per man, there aren't many women for every man. They want to live in this wish fulfillment fantasy where everybody can have all the sex they want all the time, and it's always wonderful and no one gets hurt. And it's like, sorry, that just doesn't work in the real world.
So that just means we're gonna have more time separate, and like we need time to do business and movement and mindfulness.
Jordan Peterson, that's a bold move to be like, oh, redistributive tax policies, that's Soviet. On the other hand, we literally need to legislate.
I was trying to...
He's talking about enforced mating.
Well, this is a further quote. He said, but aside from interventions that would redistribute sex, Mr. Peterson is staunchly against what he calls equality of outcomes in an effort to equalize society. He usually calls them pathologically evil.
Wow. Never before in the history of the world has there been an organized political movement of the ugly claiming that they ought to have all the benefits of being beautiful, of the stupid feeling that they ought to have status in society equal to the smart, of the lazy saying they ought to have the same status as the hardworking. These are men who step forward and say they are despised. They are constituting themselves as a kind of oppressed class of despicables in our society. And they are saying society must be reformed. Society must change to suit them. This is a new kind of proletariat consciousness. And yet, there's a split within their ranks, right? Because there are those who see the way out of the bleakness of the black pill as being self-improvement. And there are those who see the way out as a step backwards in time. Those who insist on imagining that somehow in societies where, Tinder was never invented, before the internet, before the cell phone app, that they would have been much better off. And I hear these guys engaging in fascistic free association fantasies about how much better off they would have been in the 14th century. Like, oh yeah, bro, nobody was living in celibacy in the 14th century. No, there were no families where only the eldest son could get married and have kids, and all of the younger sons were forced to join a monastery and quite literally live in involuntary celibacy. Like, oh yeah, involuntary celibacy, that wasn't a feature of pre-modern society at all. Oh yeah, bro, there aren't societies you can go to right now, like Pakistan, where in fact Tinder is illegal, where in fact all social media media and mobile phone apps for dating are illegal. You couldn't just go to the medieval paradise of Pakistan right now and see what percentage of men are living in celibacy there and all the problems that come out of this more conservative, more medieval society that you've built up in your mind as some kind of paradise to go back to. So yeah, you could say the movement is currently split. On the one hand, there's a way forward for individuals, and then there's this kind of way backward for society, wanting to drag them back to a time before the sexual revolution and before the internet and the mobile phone allegedly transformed dating. Do you notice how readily they slip from their position of offering facts-based, evidence-based, logical arguments into purely solipsistic, self-centered, self-serving reasoning, right? So these guys will give you fact, 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 fact. This is the percentage of couples who meet on Tinder today. Tinder is real life. Tinder does matter. This is the number of times a male must click that he likes someone as opposed to the number of times a female must click someone. This is data. This is science. This is evidence. But I confront this guy with a moral argument that guess what? Women actually do care about how intelligent you are. They care about how well-spoken you are. They care about how moral you are. They don't just care about your parents. Hear this 100% self-serving, self-pitying, self-centered, non-scientific response. Facts. Lay it on me, bro.
I don't think someone's moral compass matters at all to women. À-bas-le-ciel claims that women want good men and they want ethical men of good character. No. It's pretty obvious women go for men who are blatantly evil or unethical.
Absolutely no evidence required. No survey says. No data collected. Nope. Women just go for evil dudes. Facts. Well, I lose that argument apparently.
I don't think someone's moral compass matters at all to women. À-bas-le-ciel claims that women want good men and they want ethical men of good character. No. He mentions me being into anime and video games. Apparently I'm addicted to video games. I'd like to get back into gaming and anime and stuff because I don't think those interests are something that pushes women away.
So on that topic, very briefly, again, these guys, they're all about facts, they're all about statistics until the moment it's inconvenient for their agenda. What percentage of people use Tinder? After what percentage of people even use the app? Depending on what statistic you look at, it's maybe 15%. And of those people, of the 15%, right, doesn't mean they live and die by the app. You could just have this installed in your phone and once every 2 weeks you click through it for a laugh. I've used the app. A significant percentage of the women that are on there, I know they're only using it to promote their Instagram account or they're only using it to promote their Snapchat because the entire description for the account is, hey, check out my Instagram. Here's the link. Hey, here, check out my Snapchat. Here's the link. So there are a lot of people who would be part of that 15% who are not using this even as their primary form of dating, not even as one form of dating among many. They're not really using the app in the sense it's meant to be used. But hey, let's calibrate the claim. You have to compare that to something. What percentage of people in the United States of America go to church every week? Oh yeah, huh? Even though the statistic is dropping, that's a terrifyingly high statistic, isn't it? What percentage of Australians are going to church every week? Take a look into it, and then which one of these things has more of a profound and influential effect on shaping your life, shaping the future of our society? A story about Noah's Ark? I mean, it's pathetic, but simple Bible narrative, stories like that. People change their whole lives in response to them. Or an app on a phone that for most people is just a kind of funny distraction during their lunch break. It gives you a kind of, it's really not that different from flipping through a bunch of Instagram profiles. Oh, no. We're supposed to regard Tinder as, the fateful new technology that's changing the future of our society. And we're supposed to completely ignore, for example, the power religion and religious education has in shaping people's lives, which is certainly in terms of what your options are in getting married and raising children, in terms of what your life is going to be like, whether we're talking about Pakistan, the United States, or Australia. Religion is obviously the deeper and more important area of critique to engage in. So hey, here's a well-intentioned voice from the audience trying to influence decline in his downward spiral. Quote, "In my experience gym maxing, the women are mainly out of my league, and if you're not hot, they will go out of their way to avoid making eye contact with you, to avoid acknowledging your existence. I've been going to my current gym for a year now, and one or two of the girls I see on an almost daily basis will give me a hello nod. Props to that girl and to the middle-aged women who say hello when they see me. Even so minuscule a thing as that really brightens up my day. I get mogged by other dudes on a daily basis, so there's no chance even with the less attractive women. The gym will be full of other dudes who are taller, better looking, more social, and more built than you. I can tell from firsthand experience you are better off expecting nothing in terms of girls from gym maxing. In 2 years of regular gym attendance, I have only ever had men comment on the results of my working out, not one woman, ever. And never anyone at the gym, always people out in the world. I've gained at least 20 pounds of muscle and look pretty built when I have a shirt on, even though I have a fairly high body fat percentage since I don't have much of a diet. I'm also 5'5" with mid-tier normie facial structure. I keep going to the gym for my own personal self-esteem. For all the hours I spend in the gym, I get about 5 seconds every once in a while where I see myself in the mirror before I get in the shower and think, wow, I'm actually starting to look good. And by the time I get out of the shower and see myself, it's gone. But you know what? It's worth it. Because I used to absolutely despise the person I saw in the mirror, and even 5 seconds of relief from that is worth it to me. But that's really my only motivation to keep going these days. It's certainly not to get a girlfriend. I know I have no chance, but that's okay." You remember that hit song that was on the radio a few years ago? It's the good advice that you just can't take. Trust me. Decline cannot accept, cannot deal with this advice at all. He rejects it and attacks this guy for being fat and says, well, you don't have a low enough body fat percentage, so you're not reaping the rewards. So look at this picture of the guy posted on his own Instagram. He wants to believe that he can attract women just by increasing the amount of muscle he's got in his bones here and to some extent decreasing the body fat.
Why?
And then when you look at this picture of him, the state he's in today, how much do you think he can improve from here? I would say he can make about a 10% improvement in his physical fitness. I would say he could even make as much as a 20% improvement in his physical fitness. And women will not care.
After working hard for 12 entire months, he took that ugly looking body and transformed it into this. Can you believe how amazing this weenie looks after 12 months? It's unbelievable. He looks sexy as hell.
Women will not even notice. But when you look at that picture, you know what women do care about? You know what they do notice? The photographs pinned to his wall in the background. What they notice, what they can't possibly ignore, are the anime posters, the pornographic images, and so on, where you look at this and think, this is a 30-year-old man. This is the life you're living. This is the level of intellectual sophistication you're at age 30. Physically, he looks like a child. His face is childish. His attitude is childish. His behavior, his demeanor is childish. His body looks childish. He doesn't look manly. And I'm going to be real with you. He's already taking drugs. He's already taking mind and body altering drugs. It doesn't help. It's not going to help enough. All right. What women are going to respond to negatively, first and foremost, is the childishness. And the most important aspect of that childishness, yes, is intellectual. Yes, it's emotional, it's aesthetic, it's philosophical, it's political. It's all those things. Also, who you are morally matters to women.
No.
But intellectually, his level of sophistication, what you see in the background of this photograph, right? That could improve much more than 10%, much more than 20%. He's going to run into the limits of self-improvement that are possible for him biologically, physically, very, very soon. Whereas your upper limits intellectually are much further afield. And if you've never pushed at those limits, you don't know how far you can go. You don't know how much better you can be. Now look, I'm going to put up this picture of myself with my shirt off right here. This was actually during coronavirus. This was actually when I was struggling to get back in shape after being bedridden ill with coronavirus. This is not the best shape I've been in my life. For me in my 40s, that picture you just saw, it's probably, I could be in shape that good 3 months from now again, let's say. Would it be easy? No. It's going to be tremendously physically painful. Getting back to doing 200 push-ups a day, getting back to lifting that kind of weight every day, it's going to involve very real suffering for me. And how much better shape could I be in from there? I know, because I've pushed my limits that way before. I had a period of my life in Kunming, China, of going to the gym 3 times a day. All I was doing was studying Chinese, going to the gym, and live streaming for this YouTube channel, and that was it. That was all the time I had in the day. I had no friends. I had no other hobbies. I had nothing else going in my life. But yeah, I would go to the gym 3 times a day, and I remember the way in which that was exhausting, both mentally and physically, really, really pushing your limits. Like, okay, so compared to this picture of me with my shirt off, right? Can I be 10% more muscular than that? Can I be 20% more muscular? I'm in my 40s, right? And this is with no steroids, no. Guys, the reality is it won't make a difference to women in my life. It won't make a difference to anyone in my life. And at some point, the number of hours you're putting in at the gym, the percentage of your total mental and physical energy that you're putting in at the gym, right? It is actually shrinking. It is actually eating into, it is actually reducing the number of hours you've got to develop who you are intellectually, to develop into being a better person in all the ways that really matter. Not just for women who may be attracted to you, not just for your self-esteem, how you feel when you look in the mirror, right? But ultimately for making a difference for the future of planet Earth. Like, what is the difference in the end between being a child and being a grown-up? Children are selfish. Children live just for their own short-term pleasures, right? And when you move from the realm of childish things into the room of adult concerns, you precisely make a shift from short-term thinking to long-term thinking, from shallow, selfish thinking to thinking that's profound and thinking that involves the fate, the benefit of all humanity, of all mankind. That involves not just what's good for yourself and what's good for yourself short term, but what's good for other people, people you know and care about, people you only imagine hypothetically. What's good for the future of democracy in Myanmar, what's good for the future of democracy in the United States of America, so on and so forth, right? Being an adult, it's not just about the number of hairs you got in your chest. It's certainly not about the number of hairs you got in your head. It's not just about how much weight you can lift at the gym, right? There's another kind of personal transformation here that the black pill incels don't want to think about. And what makes it so interesting for me is that it's a transformation that doesn't just involve us as individuals looking for self-improvement. It also has certain implications for the future of democracy.